line marking project that we looked at this morning for you. So I've written a small business plan together as to why we want to put the lines back in place, what we're looking to achieve, and a rough design life of around 5 to 10 years. That's ideally what we're looking for. So maximum longevity. In order to achieve that, we need to start by shot blasting the surface. That'll abrade the surface to remove all the latents, the paint that's currently there. We then clean it, tape it out, prime it, paint it, and that will give us a really nice durable line. Now, there are a couple of different products we talked about during our meeting this morning, so I'll go through those in just a second. I'll put 2 coats in. I've just sort of reading through here what I've put down. So we've got the shot blasting system to go on first. We've then got the primer. That'll take a couple of hours to cure, and then we're going to do 2 coats of paint to give us that high build. There are a couple of small repair areas as well, where we saw a few sort of bits of damage and things that need just to be topped up and repaired as well while we do it. Now, when we come to the products in just a second, I'll go through the options we've got there. We had around 200 linear meters in total. So this is a walkway separated by 1.2 meter lines. Now we're going to go over the existing lines you've already got. And that essentially will, we had like a double line there where you've had a line previous and then a new one installed. We're going to leave the existing one that's sort of next to it, if you like, the inner line. The reason we're doing that is because if we take that line out, we then need to repaint it to put something else in. Otherwise, you're going to have bare concrete. Now, the problem with the bare concrete, of course, would be the dust that then comes out of it will go into the product, and that's what we're trying to avoid. So in order to negate that happening, we'll leave the existing lines that we're not working on and surface. We'll just leave those well alone for the time being. I will just go through the paint options we've got available and availability as well. So let's just scroll down here. The paint options that we looked at earlier. Now, we've got a few different options available. The first one is an acrylic. Now, this one we include free of charge with the project. It dries very quickly, around 30 to 60 minutes. It's really, really good, and it does produce a fantastic line. My only concern with using this is the smell. It's quite, well, it's a solvent-based product, so it's quite strong. It needs really good ventilation, I would say, so roller shutter doors. And given where the lines are going to be installed in your warehouse, there isn't really access to sufficient ventilation, in my opinion. We would wear masks when we're installing it because it's that strong. And I just think that it would actually end up bringing your production to a stop. Or if it's done during a shutdown period, the smell will still linger for a good few days. And my concern with that is it transferring onto the product. So when the plastics are sort of, it could essentially absorb that smell into the plastic, and it could then taint it if it's used for a food product, etc. So my recommendation is to steer clear of that one, although I do appreciate it is a free option. The next one is the anti-slip UV. Now, the UV switches over from an acrylic to a single part epoxy, and then we use a UV sealer over the top. Now, the benefit of this, of course, is really, really fast drying. The UV sealer provides an anti-slip finish as well. So it's one of my personal favorites to use simply because of the durability and the cost base for it as well. It's very quick to cure. So we're looking at around 60 minutes for the paint itself to cure. But the sealer over the top of it, once that goes on, we run a UV light over it, and then actually bakes onto the ground. So it gives us a really, really firm finish from the line, really protects it well. So it's a very, very good option. In terms of durability, we give it a 4 out of 5. And then, of course, the product that you've currently got down is a 2-part epoxy. Now, I've selected the 2-part epoxy for your quote simply because it matches what you've already got. It's a very low VOC, which means we're not going to get the heavy smells. And that, of course, negates any sort of tainting of any products that you've got going out the door as well. So this is probably the best product available. It's a 5 out of 5 in terms of durability, but of course it does come at an increased cost. So my preference would be to go for one of these two. Certainly, the UV is very, very good, but to keep in line with what you've got, I'll pre-select the 2-part epoxy for you. But if you want to change it, all you need to do is just click on these items here, and that will do the changes. I've also added a video below, so you can click play, and that will differences between the paint that we provide for warehouses. Next option here are just working times, working hours. Now, we expect to be able to get this done over 2 days roughly. So if you want, if you're happy Monday to Friday, just select this option. If you're happy for bank holidays or weekends or out of hours, then select this option here. That will automatically add it to the quotation for you. And then lastly, power requirements. We do need three-phase power on site. Now, I appreciate you've got three-phase power there. Provided you're happy for us to use your power, we need 2 outlets. I've listed them just here for you. As long as we've got access to that, we can run our cables. We won't need the generator. I'll keep the generator on for the time being, because more often than not, we find that when it comes to internal power requirements, if you've got three-phase available, typically it's in use. And so we'd have to unplug something unless it's always available. So I'll keep the generator higher for the time being, but if you're comfortable with us using both these outlets, just select this option. That will take it off of the quotation for you. And then lastly, it's just the additional warranty that you can add in. So what you'll find is that some of the areas, although we've got a design life of say 5 to 10 years, some of those areas are going to be higher traffic than other areas, and that means they're going to wear out faster. Usually this is going to be on a turning point for forklifts going over the lines or really high foot traffic areas. As people sort of come into a warehouse, you've got really high traffic, and then everybody spreads out to their working areas. So there's less footfall in each of the sort of further away areas, but a really heavy increase at the beginning, sort of when you come into an environment. So with the warranty, the two options you've got, one's £100 a year, one's £200 a year, and each of them entitles you to a different benefit. So for the £100 a year, you actually get 10% off any further repairs that you have done to these lines. So if we were to install these lines and you find that the very entrance wears out faster, if you needed a repair in that area, then by having this warranty at £100, you'd actually save 10% on any of those repairs. If you went for the premium option, it's £200. That will actually save you 20%. So for an extra £100, it can make a huge difference to your project. If you're having repairs done, it can add up very, very quickly. And you can take 20% straight off of that by selecting this option. Now, as standard, I don't pre-select these additional options for anybody. I leave it entirely up to you to decide. My honest advice is the premium pays for itself very quickly. It's always the one that people get the most value from. But as I say, I appreciate it's more money, so I'll leave it off for the time being, and I'll leave that to you to decide. Now, if you've got any questions, anything else you want to go through, by all means, do drop me an email or give me a phone call. I'm literally around the corner, so I'm more than happy to come back and see you at any point you need to. But hopefully I've answered everything you need. As I say, if you do need anything, just reach out and I'll speak to you shortly. Take care and thanks again. Cheers. Bye.